All right, everybody. Let's see. Are we live yet? Hello, hello, hello. We're not. Of course you're not. Why are we live? Where are we? Sorry, folks. I can't see my screen just yet. Not sure what's happening. Why am I not going live yet? We're having trouble painting. Oh, I see what I did. No, is that what I did? 1 second, everybody. I'm gonna have to pause here. Don't leave. I'll be right back. All right, everybody. We are here. How's it going, everyone? How's it going? Had to make a quick adjustment on my settings before I was able to actually hit the go live button, but we are on time. How awesome is that? 1 minute till. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having an amazing Saturday. My name is Jesse. For those of you that may not know who I am, give me a second. There we go. I see my screen popping up on the dashboard. And that's what I want to see. Make sure that everything's good. If somebody could give me an audio check, that would be fantastic. Let me know that you can hear me. Say, hey, Jesse, sounds good. And then I will continue. Things are looking good on my end. Audio and video check out. Hopefully everything is looking good on your end. All right, no comments yet. No comments popping up on the feed. Give me a moment. Giving everyone a chance to jump on, people. Giving all my gnome loving people a chance to jump on, and looking for the comments actually. So give me 1 second. They're not popping up on the screen just yet. Now, I need to make sure that you guys can hear me. All right, everything looks great, says Jamie. I can hear you, says Ariel. What's up, Ariel? Lisa says, sounds great. All right, everybody. Looking good. Fantastic. So once again, my name is Jesse. For those that may be new to my page, I do tutorials, painting and drawing tutorials on the Painting with Jesse page. I do have a private art membership group called Finding Your Brushstroke here in Facebook. By coincidence, the doors open tonight at midnight to let new people in. The doors will be open for 8 days from tonight midnight through next Sunday midnight or 11:59 p.m. The doors are open to take new people in. In the description of this video, I have a link to the membership or the website, the website landing page. If you guys are interested in checking that out, you haven't heard about what's going on, or maybe you know and you want more details, click on that link. It's at the very, very bottom of the description of the video. It'll take you over to the landing page, and there'll be details on that. We do a lot of amazing stuff in there. We have a really amazing group of friendly and supportive people that are already members from previous openings. They're waiting there with open arms to accept all of the new people that are going to be joining us this time around. So if you guys are interested, please check that out. All right, with that being said, let's talk about today's session. We have an awesome little gnome that we're going to be painting today inside the word love. Okay, there is a stencil that I've made available for this for those of you that don't want to be drawn freehand. I am going to teach you how to draw this completely from scratch and that is going to take approximately about 20 minutes. So if you have your stencil, one thing, I'm going to be painting the background in first. I have a repurposed 11 by 14 inch canvas over here. I had something else painted on there originally. I covered it all up with gesso, and it's ready for me to add some paint to it. We're going to paint the background in first. You don't have to paint your background in first, but it can make things easier. You don't have to paint around your drawing. I'm going to paint the background in first in pink. That light pink that you see back there, I'm going to mix it. I'll show you the colors, and we'll talk about the brushes and the supplies here in just a moment, but I want to explain the process. I'm going to be painting in the background first. I'm going to take my blow dryer, dry it all up, and then I'm going to draw this step by step, recreating this entire piece from scratch, minus the little hearts in the background. We'll probably add those later on. We don't have to draw those, we'll just do those with brushes. So again, the drawing part of it will take approximately about 20, maybe 25 minutes. I don't think it'll take that long, but it could. If you have your stencil and maybe you've already got it traced onto the canvas, or maybe you've already drawn it freehand, that's okay. You can always paint around your drawing, okay, your sketch. So let me take a look at the comments, see if anybody, excuse me, has any questions. Let's see, where am I? I'm a little lost today. That's usually the case. What's happening, MB? Shannon, how are you? Yep, you can watch this later, folks. This is being recorded. It will be available until the end of the month. You can find it here on the Painting with Jesse page by going to the live tab at the top of the page. You click on the live tab, you scroll down, and this will be the first video at the very top. Okay. Also, even though this is live, you can pause this video, you can back it up. If I'm going too quickly for you, or if you miss something, you can pause, back it up, and then jump back ahead if you want, or you can simply pause it, get a snack, and then come on back. If you need to use the restroom, all that good stuff, you can pause the video at any time. Okay. I am working on an 11 by 14 inch canvas. That's the size of the original stencil that you have. If you printed it out on a regular piece of paper, it's going to be a little smaller than this. For those of you that may not know this trick, you can always take a stencil and using a copy enlarge or minimize feature on a copier, you can enlarge the picture, or you can shrink it. Okay, so on a printer, you take your stencil, once you've printed it out, you can put it on the copier, on the copy function, and then select it to enlarge it or shrink it, and you can make your stencils. You can change the size on those stencils. Okay, so just a little tip there. I am going to be doing a tutorial next week on the Painting with Jesse page on how to transfer a stencil over to a canvas or whatever surface you're on. There are different methods, so I'm going to go over a few of them for those of you that may kind of struggle with that. Everything that I do, whenever I do a video painting tutorial, we typically draw everything from scratch, but I do provide a stencil for those of you that like to have those. What's happening, Marjorie? Hi, Sue. Good. Okay, says watching today, painting tomorrow. Finishing up the snowman today. Okay, sounds good, Sue. Fantastic. But all right, everybody, I don't want to waste too much time talking too much. Let's get into it. If you're new to the page, just listen closely. If you've been painting with me for a little while, or you've painted with me before, you already know, you're familiar with the process. The supplies that I'm going to be using today, real simple. I'm working on an 11 by 14 inch canvas, as I've already mentioned. Okay, I've got some basic brushes here. Nothing fancy. These are all flats except for my two little detail brushes, and I'll talk about those in a second. 1 inch flat brush. I've got some beat up tack-on brushes here. Nothing fancy, just 1 inch flat. Okay, this is going to be good for working in the background. If you've got a larger brush, even better. I do have a 3 inch brush over here that I could use to speed up the painting the background process, but I'll leave it today. So that's going to be the first one. I've also got a 1/2 inch. Okay, again, nothing fancy. These aren't fancy brushes. Primarily, I'll be using this to paint the inside of the letters, maybe the inside of the heart, and maybe things like the beard. Okay, so 1/2 inch flat. All right, next brush. Number 7 flat, just a smaller version of the other two. This is good for some of the smaller details. Again, nothing fancy. You can find all these brushes at your local art store, places like Walmart, carries them also. A number 3 flat. Actually, this one is my number 2 flat. If you got number 3 flat, which is listed on the supplies list, use that. Okay, little brush. Again, nothing fancy. Then I got a couple of small detailed brushes. These are little brushes that can be used to create the small lines and things like that. Outlining on the letters, the string, balloon, and all tiny details. Hearts, 2 small little detailed brushes. I've got a number 0 round brush, and then I've got a 0 liner brush. Okay, these are for these long outlines. These brushes, these long brushes, are good for writing. They carry lots of paint in them, and so you can do long lines with them. Okay, if you got something like this, then you're in good shape. If you don't have these exact brushes, don't worry about it. Work with what you've got. It's not critical. It's just suggested brushes. Okay, I like to keep a water cup, a couple of them actually. Rinse cup, my brushes inside of this. As I'm using, what's happening, Nicole? How are you? Colleen says, first time watching. Hello, Jesse. What's happening, Colleen? Welcome to the page. All of you. Welcome to all of you that have been here for a while and all of you that are new to the page. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to have a little fun around this Valentine's Gnome painting. So I've got a little bit of pink paint. This is actually a mixed bottle of white and some red and pink that I kind of put together some time ago, running out of pink. This color that I have in here is kind of a light fuchsia. Let's call it light fuchsia, and that's going to be the color that I use for the letters. This same color is what I'm going to mix it with white. I've already got it ready on my palette. I'll talk about this here in a second. I've got light fuchsia, pink with some white. I'm going to mix those together, and I'm going to create that light pink color for the background. That's happening in a minute. We'll talk about the other colors. I've got some red, just basic red, nothing fancy. These are all craft paints, nothing expensive, or same paints that I used on the original. Okay, so red, obvious where it's going to be used. I've got some white, okay, basic white, and then I've got some black. The black, of course, will be mainly for the outlining. The only color that's a little different is this in here, the nose. So I did a mixture of pink, a little bit of brown, white to create that kind of skin tone. So we'll talk about that. So I don't have the brown over here with me. I really have to go grab it here in a moment from one of my shelves, but I'll get that later. This doesn't really come into play until later. But brown, pink, white, I mix those together to create this skin tone color. Okay, so real basic. Now, as far as the drawing material, utensil that we're going to be using, drawing tool, I'm actually using this little basic erasable colored pencil from Crayola. Okay, this is a really nice pencil you can use to draw with. I know it's really light right now. I'm not pressing too hard, and it's easy to erase. Okay, you can use a chalk pencil. I often use chalk pencils. Those are also really easy to erase. You can use chalk. You can use a regular pencil for this. A regular pencil is going to be a little tougher because it's a little harder to erase on paint, but it can still be. Okay, you might have some smudges to work with, but that's a-okay. All right, if you guys, just a couple of things before we get going. I'm going to be teaching you the steps and recreating this piece here from scratch. Whatever changes you want to make to it, absolutely feel free to do so. I encourage you guys to get creative, especially if you've got a little bit of experience painting and you want to change things up, modify them, make it your own. You want to have 2 gnomes, you want to have 3 balloons or different colors everywhere. Some you got other color choices. Please feel free to do whatever you'd like with the piece. I like my sessions to be fun, relaxed, enjoyable, stress-free as much as they can be. I know sometimes creating art can be a little bit stressful for some people, but do your best to relax. I think that the more you're able to kind of relax and enjoy the process, the more likely you're going to come back and do it again, especially if you're newer. If you're frustrated and you're struggling, that's less likely that you're going to attempt it again in some future session, right? Some future time. So try to relax, enjoy the process, let your painting turn out however it turns out, and just know that with practice and with doing these processes over and over again, you will get better with time. You can always come back and paint it again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You you guys are all done with your paintings, please send me pictures to the Painting with Jesse page via Messenger. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take all of those paintings and then put them up in a large post maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week so everyone gets a chance to see what you guys all made. Okay? It's a lot of fun to see people's paintings. But anyway, everyone, I'll take a look at the comments here in a little bit. Once again, this is being recorded. You can come back and watch it later. If you have to leave at any time, you can always come back and continue with the recorded session. All right, let's get going. As I mentioned, if you guys are ready to go, give me some thumbs up. Give me some thumbs up, some hearts, especially because it's Valentine's coming around the corner. Give me some hearts. Show me some love. But let me know if you guys are ready to go by giving me some thumbs up. Up on the screen. Let's go. Okay. Looks like they're coming in. Fantastic. So here we go. Big brush. Again, we're going to paint in the background first. Okay. What I'm going to do is I've got this big flat brush, my big 1-inch flat brush. I'm using a plexiglass palette. Okay. And I've got my two main colors that I'm going to be using for that background all ready to go right here. I'm going to take some of this pink. Okay. And I'm going to take a bunch of this white. I'm going to mix the two together. And this is where we're going to start. We're painting. We're going to paint the background in, right? We're going to paint that really light pink for the background. So let me grab a bit more white. We're going to need some more white for this. Now, as I'm going along painting, I'll do a step or two, and then I'll stop and I'll look at the comments, giving you guys a little time to catch up. Okay, once I feel like I'm ready, or you guys got a chance to kind of do your step, then I go on to the next step. In between steps, I like to look at those comments and answer questions. Okay, so if you make a comment or something like that on the in the comments area and I don't see it, don't worry. I'll try to look through it and answer your question or say hello or what have you. But I'll let you know when I am looking at those comments. Or you'll see me. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at my laptop, which is what I'm using to monitor the feed. Okay, I've got my camera up above it, and then I've got my laptop sitting in front of me. But here we go. So what you want is a nice light pink color. Okay, and this is an old beat up brush, nothing fancy here. Okay, nice light pink color. Acrylic paint will dry a little bit darker than when it comes on wet. So you want to be kind of mindful of that, depending on the brand, depending on the quality of your paint. Some paint will dry a little faster, will dry a little darker. Some paint will dry a little lighter. But I've never seen an acrylic paint that didn't darken a little bit once it dries. So again, nice light pink, unless you're using a different color, which again is absolutely up to you. But I'm just taking this pink and I'm just applying it to my canvas. Now I mentioned the canvas that I'm using is a repurposed canvas. I had something else painted on here, a duplicate of something else on one of my classes, something that I made twice or maybe even 3 times, because sometimes I'll teach something more than once. And real quick before I continue there. So I'm using really flowy paint, meaning paint that's really kind of watered down, if you will. So I don't have to add a lot of water to my paint. In this particular case, I didn't add any. But if you have a thicker paint, or if you're used to adding a little bit of water to your paint, again, that's an option. Please feel free to do so. Now, this new paint that I'm applying right now, this background that I'm creating has a little bit of some darker pink streaks in it. It mixed my paint completely, so I've got a little bit of some streakiness going through the background, which is actually kind of cool. Not intentional, but I think I'm going to keep it. It almost makes it look like there's a little bit of a wood background, a little bit. Could be the beginnings of it if I decide to take this in that direction and make a fake wood background. But all right, and then you see me, what I'm doing here is I'm painting with these long horizontal brush strokes. What this does, it helps my background stay nice and smooth. Okay, as opposed to, and there's really no right or wrong in this. I could have drawn everything first and then painted around my drawing, and that's actually what I did on my first painting. When I made this one originally, I drew everything first and then painted around it for the background. That can be a little tricky. It takes a long time because you're having to work around everything. So the drawback to doing the background first would be that now we have to draw on top of this, right? And sometimes if there's a lot of smudging and stuff like that, if you have a hard time removing your smudges, you can have areas of smudginess around your painting. If you're using the right tools, the right pencil, etc., that the chances of that happening are minimized, but it can happen. So that's the one drawback, or one of the drawbacks of painting in the background first. The drawback of drawing everything first and painting around is that it's a little tough to work your brushes around all those little details. It can really take longer. So anyway, what's happening with Brandy? How are you? Teresa Lowe says rewatch. Yeah, you can come back and watch this later, most definitely. How do I get to research this? So if you click, let's see, if you're looking for the stencil, for this session, I did put it in the description of this video. The link to the Painting with Jesse email list is there. If you sign up for the email list, you immediately get access. And I'm talking like in the thank you page, you get the PDF download of the stencil for this if you'd like it. Okay, now for those of you who signed up for the Painting with Jesse email, I send you guys updates, notifications, and things like that as to when my free sessions are going to be. And then I typically send out the stencils automatically to the Painting with Jesse email list. Now, this week, I'm being a little bit spammy over the last few days because I've got my art membership opening tonight at midnight. I'm sending out quite a few emails around that. So I'm hoping to not annoy too many of you with that. But I promise once the membership doors close back up next week, we won't be blasting you guys about that. Also, there is a way to opt out of certain emails. If you don't want to be receiving emails about my membership, you can go down to the bottom of any email that I send you, and there's a link where you can adjust your preferences. Okay? But all right, everybody, I've got a heater that I'm running over here, so let me turn that off before I turn on my blow dryer. I'm working out of my garage, and it was a little chilly today, so I got my heater running over there. Let that turn off. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my blow dryer, just a basic blow dryer, and I'm going to go ahead and speed up the drying process on my canvas. Okay, as that takes a few seconds for that heater to turn off. So give me a second while I take a look at the comments. Let me see if I've got any problems with my video. Nope. With my internet. Nope. Everything's looking good on my end. If you have any problems with the video or the audio, sometimes it's an easy fix. You exit the video, you can even close your Facebook and then come back in and it corrects itself. Okay. So that is something that I've seen from time to time. If you are having problems with the audio or the video, close the video, come back into it, and oftentimes we'll fix it. I'm able to monitor the strength of my internet as I do these live sessions now, and everything's looking good on my end. That doesn't mean that it's, I could be having problems on my end that are then causing you guys problems, but things are looking good. All right, let's turn this blow dryer on. Or not. Wait a minute. Oh, wrong button. Hold on a second. Here we go. So real basic blow dryer, just using it to speed up the drying process. And then we're going to get into the drawing portion of all of this. The fun stuff. All right. There we go. So we're going to be doing a little drawing now. Again, I'm going to be using this Crayola erasable colored pencil for this. Okay. At first, you're going to see a lot of lines the lines that I'm going to create are going to be a little bit light. I will darken them up shortly. If you're having trouble seeing my lines, don't stress out about it too much. At first, especially for those of you that are drawing this freehand at home, even if you're using the stencil, you want to use really light lines. Enough so that you can see them and work with it, what you're creating, but light, so that if you have to erase, it's not a big mess. When I do these live sessions, I typically make my lines darker than what I do here at home when I'm drawing for myself. So, because I want you guys to see them. What's happening, Carlene? How are you? How are you? Because I want you guys to see them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to block out a rectangle on my canvas, a rectangle that's going to give me the place of where this is all going to sit. Just the word love and the gnome. Okay, that's what this rectangle that I'm about to add is going to give me. And this rectangle is not going to have straight lines or anything like that. They're going to be slightly curved. But I'm going to start right over here on the right-hand side. Just looking at, again, my 11 by 14 inch canvas. On the side of my canvas, from the edge of the E to the outside, I've got about approximately about an inch. What I'm going to do, and again, this might be a little problematic for some of you to see. Don't stress about it. I'm just drawing a somewhat straight line. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Okay, so that's my edge of my rectangle. Come over to the other side, same thing. Over here, I've got probably about the same. So about an inch. And I say about. Okay, and here we go. Drawing the edge of my rectangle. Okay, we've got two lines now. Okay. Down here, let me raise this up a bit so it's sitting on the edge. On the bottom of my letters, I've got about maybe 2.5, 2 3/4 inches. And again, it's about, folks, I'm not trying to create an exact replica of the original. I'm going to come close, and close is going to be good enough. So same with you guys. I don't want you stressing about trying to create an exact replica. If you're doing all this freehand, it's all right if it's a little bit different. Okay, now the top of my rectangle, that's a little bit, there's a little more to the length here than from the bottom of the letter to the bottom of the canvas. The reason for that is I want to leave some space in there for that balloon. So this is maybe 3 3/4 inches or so. So I just kind of do this, and here we go, across to the other side. Don't forget, folks, if I'm going too fast, pause it, back it up. All good, especially if you're newer to painting, to drawing. It's okay. Everybody creates at a different pace. I'm actually generally a pretty moderate creator, painter. I don't go too fast, but I understand if you're newer, whatever speed I have may be a little too fast. So just don't stress. If you fall behind, pause it. If you can always come back and paint with a recorded session also. Okay? Drinking a little bit of green tea right now, a little honey. Okay, so I've got this rectangle sitting here on my canvas, and again, nice and light. And the reason I keep it light is I can come in here. It's easy for me to come in here and erase. Okay, main purpose is keeping things light. Even this is probably as dark as I would ever make that rectangle again if I was drawing it for myself. But you just know that there's a rectangle sitting right there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block out the space for this letter E over here. And it's about maybe 3.5 inches in. I'm going to go like this. I'm just going to make a mark right here. I'm just going to bring this down all the way down. Slight angle like this. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be a little bit angled in the other direction. Nothing crazy. Just going to nice little line right there. Okay. Next letter that we've got is the letter V. And you notice over here the V doesn't go all the way up as high as the E. So knowing that this is going to be the top of my E, I'm just going to come down a little bit from this line that I just created, and I'm going to go like this. All that is a little marker. It tells me where that part of the V is going to start when I put it in. The other thing I want to do is go like this. The V and the E are about the same length across. Okay, so all I'm going to do is whatever length I've got for that E is, I'm going to bring it over here like this. And I'm going to go like this. I know the V is going to sit over here somewhere. I don't have to bring that line all the way down. Just a nice little marker. You could if you want, but the gnome is going to sit, creating that letter O is created by the gnome's body, right? So we know it's going to sit here somewhere. Not going to worry about the gnome. I'm going to walk over here on to the other side. Walk over here. Come on over to the other side. We know the L is going to sit right in here somewhere. It's probably about an inch across, 3/4 of an inch. All of this can be adjusted later. Whatever lines you're creating right now don't have to be your final lines. We can make little adjustments. Okay, so there is my line for that side of that L. I know it's going to come over like this, somewhere over here. So here's what we got. Let me give you a close-up. Let me give you a breakdown. Got the general size and shape or place for the E. We've blocked out the E. We've blocked out the space for the V. We skipped all of that, came over to the L. We got the L that's going to be sitting right here. And we know that right in here, we're going to have a little gnome. A little lovable gnome spreading love. He's walking around with his little balloon. And he's just a happy little guy. Okay? All right. Give you guys a moment to catch up on that. Let me take a look at some of the comments. If you hear a little dog barking in the background, that's our little doggy. Don't mind her. She's inside, but she barks quite loudly. All right. What's happening? Alice says, hey, hope everyone is doing well. Just stopping by to say hi. Not done with my snowman yet. I have to do this one later. Sounds good, Alice. Alex is talking about the snowman in our art membership group. We did a snowman over a couple of sessions. Some of you may have seen me post the painting on the Painting with Jesse page, but that's what Alice and somebody else mentioned it also. Trying to remember who that was, but another one of the members in the group. What's happening, Catherine? Hello from Ontario. Hello to you, Catherine. Let's see. What else, folks? What else? I don't have pink and no stencil, so how do I research this once? I get that. Okay, so there is an event page for this. Excuse me. If you're not painting to the event page on Facebook, there is an event tab at the top of the Painting with Jesse page. When you click on that, it'll show you all of the events, current and past. You click on whichever one you want, and it'll give you the details about it. You'll see the gnome one sitting at the very top. Angie says the top looks lighter than the rest. Rest is darker on my canvas. Are you talking about your paint? Is that what you mean, Angie? The rest, meaning that the paint at the top is lighter than the rest of the canvas. What color are you using? Let me know, and I'll see if I can answer you. All right. Okay. Here we go. So what's next? We're going to block in our little gnome. Our little gnome. The shape of this little guy right here is kind of like maybe like an oval-ish, or the letter O that's slightly tapered at the bottom. Now, just to kind of give you guys a place to start, we're going to have that V is going to, so this letter V is going to be over here somewhere, right? We've already kind of blocked out where that line is going to, we know that this is going to be over here somewhere. Okay, right where this line is, this part here is going to end up somewhere in here. We're not too exactly sure, but it's going to be about right in here. And I think I probably need to bring this line over just a okay, nothing's ever exact. All of this, the creating process is about making little adjustments as you go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, and again, nice and light. This circle that I'm about to make is going to represent about the general center area of my gnome. So I'm just going to go like this so that I know where he's going to sit. I'm just going to sketch out the general shape of his body. We're going to refine this in a bit, but obviously his body is what's making that letter O. So right about in there, we're just dropping in a little O. What's happening, Anna? Thank you. Thank you. So we got our little O there. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in his nose. We're going to start with the nose. We can start anywhere, but the nose is a good place to start because it sits right in the middle of the gnome. Kind of gives us a placement, a point of placement where we put kind of like a prominent part of the gnome where we can use that then to kind of give us placement for the rest of the gnome. Okay, so since we have the general shape and maybe even width and size, and again, all that can change, this gnome's nose sits at about the middle from the top of my rectangle that I drew to the bottom. That nose sits maybe a little higher than middle. So again, this rectangle right here, if I kind of eyeball where the center would be, if I go like this, that center would be about right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put in my little gnome's nose here. And let me go ahead. I'm going to start making things a little darker in a moment. Okay, hopefully you guys aren't struggling too much. Okay, so there's the nose. From the nose, I'm going to go ahead and create the line for the outline of the hat. So we got the outline of that hat that goes from side to side. This side kind of goes like this, tapers or has a slight incline this way. And then around the other side, has maybe a little bit of a steeper incline. Good, Lisa. Fantastic. Hi, Diane. What's going on? I am doing a modified version. I'm painting the gnome and the balloon on a card for my granddaughter. Sounds fantastic, Diane. You're going to have to share that. Please make sure you send me a picture of your painting. All of you, please send me those. I love seeing your creations, and I like to share those again as a very large post with the painting with Jesse Page, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday after I've gotten a bunch of them. Send them over again. Send me a picture. Maybe you guys want to hold your paintings in a group if you're painting with your family or your friends, what have you. What's happening, Terry? How are you? Okay, so edge of the hat. Okay, we got the edge of the bottom edge of the hat. Nothing fancy. From there, we can go either up and create the top of the hat, or we can come down and create the body of the snowman. Now it feels like I've gone down a little too low, maybe on the hat, but that's okay. It's nothing crazy. I'm going to go like this from the edge of the hat. So this line comes in like this. I'm going to come in just a little bit from here. I come in just a little bit, and you create the outline for his beard. Little gnome's beard. Now I'm thinking about a snowman. Okay, and then on the other side, same thing. From the edge of my hat, I'm going to come in just a little bit. I'm going to go like this. Just the general outline of that beard. Okay, so that's this here, like this. Okay. These here are his little shoulders, his little arms, not his shoulders, his arms. He's walking, right? Leaning forward a tiny bit. Oops, did I just knock the camera out of the way? No, I didn't. And he's got his arms around his side, and he's got his little balloon. He's holding his little balloon behind him. That's what those are. We're going to add those in a bit. Here we go. There's the beard. Where are we going to go next? Well, we're going to move up to the hat. When I teach people to draw, what I tell you to do is concentrate on the big parts first. Even though we started with the nose, because that kind of gave us a little bit of a placement point, we then quickly went into the large parts, the beard. Now we're going to the hat. Okay, all the smaller details get done later. All right, so here we go. So let's go to the hat. Right around this side. We've got this nice curved line that goes over like that. Okay, we're going to start it from right here, the edge of the hat. Come up, curve it over a little bit. Then it goes back up. Again, I'm making this line nice and dark. Easier for you guys to see it, but be careful. Don't go too dark so you don't struggle with having to erase anything. Yeah, even if you're working with stuff like a erasable pencil or chalk, you can still stain your canvas. Okay, so be careful. You can still stain your background. So what I want to do next, I'm just going to mark off where the tip of this hat is going to be. And that's going to be right over. So if my V is going to be over here somewhere, I can use that kind of as my guide. The V is going to be right about here. We go like this. And the tip of that hat is right here. So let's go ahead and use that as our placement point. Now from there, we have a little point. Goes like that. Nothing fancy, folks. Don't overthink it. If your hat ends up longer than mine, if it's shorter than mine, if you're painting in a group and your painting looks different than the person next to you, that's part of the fun. You're creating your own version of my painting. So don't stress out about it, okay? again, especially if you're newer to art, it's ultimately what happens with art. Once you learn how to paint and how to draw, you're essentially going to be creating your own technique, and your own style, and your own fingerprint. So don't stress about if your painting is looking a little different than mine or anybody else's. Have fun with it, make it your own. Okay, over on this side, this part of the hat now. Okay, and we can start from the top and work our way down, or we can start from over here. I'm going to pick right over here. So edge of the hat kind of connects right here. Okay, I'm going to go up like this, little curve, and then connect to the top right there. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. Nice and loose grip towards, maybe not a loose grip, but towards the back. This is a very loose way to draw. It's more of a sketching style where I'm not trying to make everything perfect or exact. The closer I hold the pencil from the top or from the tip, the more detail or exacting I want my lines to be. Okay, but if you hold same thing with your brushes, the looser that you hold your brush, the more kind of towards the back, the more of a looser style. It's almost more of a free, less stressful approach. So just throwing that out there. Sharpening my pencil here a little bit. Get that point nice and sharp again. All right. So what else is next? We can put in the little what is it? It looks like a little star with the little cotton ball or whatever this is at the end of his hat. And it's just a bunch of little spikes. We try to do this holding the canvas like this. Just a bunch of little, let's call them cones or triangles. Yeah, getting nothing fancy. All right. Fantastic. We're doing well. We're moving along. Let me take a look. Angie says, on my canvas, I have magenta. That's all I got. That's good. That's no problem. Magenta's good. That'll work, Angie. Judy, let's see, says, for the template, I colored the back with pencil and then placed it face up. I traced the template. It transferred the template lightly on the canvas. There you go, Judy. That's exactly one of the ways you can do it. You basically, it sounds like you made, it's almost like you made your own tracing paper, but you use the stencil as the tracing paper, right? Pretty cool. All right. Good. Thank you so much. So next step, where do we go? Let's go to the little shoes. We can go to the arms. We can go to the mustache, but we're going to go down to the shoes. This little shoe right here is basically curved at the top, almost like we're starting a circle, and then tapers down at the bottom into a little point. He's taking a little step, right? He's walking forward. He's taking a little step with that foot. So right here. So again, we start the little curved line, comes down. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit higher. A little tiny bit. I just noticed that this down here is a little lower. So I'm going to raise it up a little bit. So before we get into painting, actually, before you get too far into your drawing, you always want to take a moment to assess your painting or your drawing, your process. And I did a lot of lines there to create just a basic shape. All this is like this. Anything fancy, maybe I need to go a little larger. So all along, especially if you're drawing freehand, you want to take a moment every so often, every few steps, and look at your overall drawing. Make sure you're not too far off, because sometimes we develop a little bit of a tunnel vision. We get many steps ahead, and all of a sudden we take a step back and look, we're like, oh my gosh, I made this too big or too small. Now you've got to go back and correct a whole bunch of things. So from time to time, take a step back and look at your progress. I'm going to make the shoe right here. So here's one thing that I'm already noticing that's different on this new drawing than on the original. Okay, the shoes here in the bottom of the gnome almost lines up with the lettering over here. On this one here, my lettering is a little higher than the gnome's little feet. Okay, so this drops down a little further than on the original. Now that may work. That may actually work out okay. But once I'm done with the drawing, I'm going to take a step back and look at it and decide if I want to keep that or not. Okay, it's an easy fix though. I can easily just bring down my level of my letters down to meet the bottom edge of the shoes. Okay, so pretty easy fix. Got my shoes in place. Bottom right here where the beard pops up underneath. Again, folks, I told you this drawing part was going to take a little bit. Hoping you're being patient. Patience is always a big part of the creative process. Hope you're enjoying this and learning a little bit. If you're already got experience, well, fantastic. But hopefully you're enjoying the process. What I'm going to do now, if you notice, my little hat sticks out a little bit on each edge. Okay, it kind of so the edge of my beard is here on both sides. The edge of the hat comes out. What I'm going to do is this. His little arms. You see the little edge of his arms. His arms go around his back. Okay, on both sides. Again, his little arms are behind him. He's got his little balloon that he's holding back there, the balloon string. So his little arms are behind him. We're gonna get those pencils, says Jessica. You can actually buy these, Jessica. Walmart sells these. These are usually in the kids section, but these little erasable colored pencils are really nice. I just recently started using these, but by chance I was like, hey, let me try it. It's an erasable pencil. I tried it out and I was like, oh wow. So you can also find these online. Just look for Crayola erasable colored pencils. These are really neat. Now, I'm using purple, which is a color kind of close to pink, but all of my outlines are going to get covered up when we do the dark outline on everything. Okay. All right. Let's continue. So we got his little nose right here. His little nose. We're going to add a little. His little bottom lip is showing. Let me just darken up the nose a bit. Okay. So his little lip, bottom lip, goes like this. Yours does not have his bottom lip showing. Mine does. Okay. And then we can go right into his mustache. We'll start with the right side. Just a couple of lines that curve down and in, and they meet at a little point at the bottom. Right here. Curved line. Whoops. Maybe a little more curved. Then you notice, I'm not sure if you guys notice, I'm using my finger. I use my finger I kind of do this to stabilize my hand. Okay. And I'm also a little closer now on the pencil. Right here on the lip, comes out. Okay, something like that. Then other side, right over here. Your mustache could be large, it could be small. All good. Okay. Then this is a step. The lines that you see in the beard is a step that can always be added after when you're in the painting process. It can make it a little easier to add them now because then you don't have to really think about it and you just paint right over the top of them. Now, if I do them now, when I paint in white, I may cover up my pencil lines. I may not be able to see them, but hopefully this is dark. This is dark enough where I can see them. If not, no big deal. I can always remake them, redo them with the paint when I start when I actually am on that step. So just a bunch of little lines that come down, kind of like that. Here at the bottom, and I didn't point this out too well. I got sidetracked and started talking about the edge of the feet and how they lined up with the letters. I'm going to go like this. Just kind of give the beard a little bit of a point down there. All right. So we're moving along. We're getting there. All right. The hat. Okay. So one little thing that maybe I would modify probably if I was going to be redoing this original piece. This little line here, I would bring it right up here where this curves over, because then it would make it look more like make the shape of the gnome look more like that O. It's a subtle little change, a small difference, but it would make the gnome look more like an O. If I put this line here, it would make that look more like the letter O. I'm not going to do it now. I'm just going to stick to the original. I'm going to go a little higher. curved line that does this. Okay, I've got another one right over here. Anyway, just a little FYI, if anybody would like to do something with that. And then I've got another one right here. So 3 stripes, and then I got the little hearts to do. I'm sure everybody knows how to do hearts, but just in case, let me give you a close-up. Start with a little center heart. I'll start with one side. Okay, there's my little heart. Other side. And then maybe over here. You don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. This one could be a little larger maybe, but we'll leave it as is. And then let's see, over here, this segment only has 2. At least on mine it does. Yours can have as many as you want or none at all. Maybe your design's a little different. And then one more here at the top. Okay. So let's give it a moment. Let's give you guys a little chance to catch up. The other thing that I'm noticing is that this little guy is a little smaller by a little bit. He's a little narrower than that guy. And that's all right. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Missy. That's a good observation. It makes the gnome look like he's standing in front of the letters a little more, in the foreground. That's exactly right. So yeah, it's not a big problem. But yeah, I'll have to decide what, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to fix that or not. Let's see. Tanya says, I lost track of the time. Will this be available later? And of course, as I mentioned a couple of times, I know some of you have missed that, but it's being recorded. And immediately after the session, you can jump right in and paint with the recorded version. You'll find it under the live tab or on the event page at the top of the page. All right. All right. Jessica Siegler says, I have transfer paper that I traced the stencil on. Yep, transfer paper is easy. No problem. That's an easy one to use when you want to transfer something over an image to a canvas or other surface. Next week, I'm planning on doing a mini tutorial session on the Painting with Jesse page around how to transfer images from a stencil or other images to a canvas or other type of surface. So look out for that. All right, our little gnome is pretty much all done. Let me see if I've missed anything. The bottom here, you can see the bottom part of the sole of that, the shoe sole right there. You can just add that in here. It's just a little line that goes across, or we can always come back and just add it in paint. We'll add it right now. It's nothing crazy. A little tiny line that goes across. I mentioned always take a step back and assess your drawing from a distance. Further back gives you a better perspective. You want to be right in front of it. I'm slightly over to the left of my canvas because of the camera and everything. Sit over to the side, so I always have to kind of lean back and look in, make sure that everything's good. Okay, don't worry about the balloon for now. We're going to get right into making the letters. We're going to start with that E. Start with the top of the E, and it goes like this. Comes down. Make sure that you've blocked out your space well enough for each letter. Bottom of the E, okay, the top of that letter, or the side of the E goes like this, comes in, goes back down. This doesn't go as far out, right? Doesn't go all the way out here. Comes down a little bit. Comes back down. Now this part I'm going to go through kind of quickly because I think most of you, as long as you've got your spaces blocked out correctly, you probably don't need a lot of time on this. Here's my E. Moving on over to that V. The V again starts about up from the edge of the E. I'm just going to correct this, make it a little shorter. Since I moved my E in a little bit like this. So, right, the letters aren't all perfectly straight. They're kind of slightly curved and angled and stuff. So top of the V, I'm going to go. I know that this part is going to come down. I don't know quite yet how far down to go. I have an idea because I have the original, right? But I don't want to go too far down because it could change a little bit depending on if I have to make any corrections over any adjustments. So this top of that V is about here. Okay, I know that from using the original as my reference, that that part of the V is really close to the top of the gnome, the hat on the gnome, and then it kind of tucks away behind this part of the gnome. So it kind of does this here, and then comes out down here. So we'll kind of just imagine this goes like this, comes out here, comes across. We're at the bottom here of that V, and then it goes up and does that. So at the bottom of that V, probably the toughest letter that we're going to have to do is the V, just because of where it sits and all the different angles and such on it. Okay, so like that, and then we go up, and then we come back down and connect this together. Again, nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. I noticed that this V is a little wider than the original one. Fix that really quickly. You don't have to match exactly as I've said already, but it was a little too wet for my taste. Sounds good, Jessica. Thank you for stopping by and joining in for a little while. See ya later, okay? Okay, everybody. Don't be shy. If you have any questions, if something, if you'd like me to repeat something, anything regarding the process, etc., put it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer you. Okay. Also, if you want to say hello, I'm looking at the comments now. If you want to say hello, let me know who you're painting with or who's painting with you and where you're painting, where you're joining me from. I'd love to hear from you. That would be fantastic. We're almost done with the drawing part of it. We're going to get right into the painting in about maybe 5 minutes. Okay. So the letter L is almost completed already. We're just going to clean up our lines a little bit. Got the top of the L slightly curved in my case. Bring this down like this, all the way down here like that, and maybe go across. The bottom of the L comes out right here somewhere, goes under, and then goes like that. Okay. There's my letter with my gnome in the center, my word with my gnome in the center of it. Ariel, you're annoyed. No. You messed up your background, huh? It's okay. I know you got this. You're an awesome painter. I've seen your stuff many times. What's happening, Diane? All the way from England, 11 p.m. Yeah, I know you guys are pretty far ahead. I have a member in my art group, my art membership group. One of the members is out there in England also. I think she's an hour or two away from London, is what I remember her talking about. Fantastic. Doris, sorry. Really small letters, and I don't have my glasses on. Looks like Doris says, painting with my friend, Stephanie Berry. Hello, ladies. Awesome. Anita, how's it going? Has got home looking great. Awesome. Naomi says, painting with you from Athens, Georgia. Fantastic. Naomi, welcome. So all of this down in here is done. I'm just taking a quick kind of look, making sure that everything's where I want it to be. Maybe this V comes up, this part of the V comes up a little bit higher. Tanya says, hello, will the video be available after? Yeah, it sure will, Tanya. It sure will, okay? As soon as I'm done, you can actually even back the video up now. You can always back it up, start from the beginning. But when the session's over, you'll find the recorded session at the top of the Painting with Jesse page. Okay, last thing we've got is that balloon. Pretty basic, just kind of a quick observation. It sits right on top of the hat, like right about here. I can just kind of maybe lightly block that in. I don't start doing anything really dark because I want to make sure that I do have my glasses, Ariel. I do have them. I got them handy. I can do have them handy if I need them. Throw them on. Okay, so the top of the balloon sits somewhere over here like this. Kind of goes like that. Curves around. Okay, and again, really light because I don't want to have to erase or have too much of a problem here. I'll darken this up in a moment. For those of you that want to see the lines, I will definitely darken them up. But again, just a little tip to all of you that are newer to drawing. Keep really light lines until you're, sometimes what I'll say, depending on what we're drawing and what it is that we're doing, the session that we're involved with, and what we want the results to be, etc. Drawing session, what I say is keep your lines light so you're happy with what you have, and then darken it up. Okay, but there we go. Here's my balloon heart. Goes like this. I can darken it. Okay, maybe clean up my edge here a bit. What I want to show you guys is the bottom of the balloon here. Got that little. You just put a little triangle shape down there. A little triangular shape where you tie the balloon. Yeah, that works. Now, what I can also do, I'm gonna do this with a brush later. I could go ahead and draw in my string. Actually, you know what? I guess I could, and then just erase it later. I'll just really lightly put in my string, and it kind of does this. Now remember, actually, I could probably bring it a little higher. Just to tuck in back here. Again, he's holding it. Maybe he's holding it with both hands, or he's holding it with one hand. But does this little thing where it comes down, and tucks in right there. All right. So just to clean some things up before we paint. Just going to clean up some of my extra lines, even though we're going to cover all that up with paint, just to make my painting process a little easier. Clean some things up. The rectangle that I made goes away. Also, what you can do, if you have smudges, end up with smudges, you can always end up painting around what you created, right? Worst case scenario, or last case scenario, if you need to, redo your background, you've got everything sketched in, you can paint around everything. It takes a little longer, but it's okay. All right, everybody. So this color right here is the color that I'm going to be using for my letters. We're going to start with that. Okay, if you're all ready to go, give me some thumbs up. Let me know that you're all set, and we're going to move on to the drawing part of this. We've been on for about an hour, and I imagine the rest of this is going to take about an hour. Okay, I'm going to speed things up a little bit. I don't want to go too quickly, but I don't want to go too slowly. So the drawing part of it, or the painting part of it, is a little more straightforward, I would say, because now we're just filling in spaces. What's important to know if you're newer to painting is that if you're working with acrylic paint like I am, you work in layers. Okay, so the layering process could be a little bit of a slow going because you're having to work with your layers. Rebecca says, let's go. Fantastic. Give me some thumbs up, folks. If you're ready to go, let's see those thumbs up, okay? Tell me that lots of you are good to go. I know not everybody's in the same spot, as I mentioned before. There's no one size fits all in regards to the process. Some of you paint faster, some of you paint slower. So all good. Okay, let me get over here real quick. I have two different drinks here today. Some iced tea and then some give me one sec while I just refresh my screen here. All right, here we go. 1/2 inch flat is what I'm going to start with. My 1/2 inch flat brush. Okay, I'm going to dip. Now this time I'm going to take my brush and dip it into my water. I got my rinse cup here. It's going to dip the brush right into that water. Then what I do is I take that. Real quick reminder, everybody, for those of you that may have missed my announcement at the beginning, my art membership doors, my private art group here on Facebook, they open tonight at midnight. They're going to be open for 8 days to let new people in. It's been since November of 2021 was the last time the doors opened. So for those of you that have been on the waiting list, they open tonight. The link to the website that talks about the details is in the description of this video at the very bottom. Okay, if you guys want to check that out, even if you're not necessarily interested right now, you can always go check it out and see what kind of stuff we do in there. We do drawing and painting sessions, 4 paintings a month at least, 1 purely drawing session, 1 technique class a month. Sometimes we have guest artists. Sometimes we have special workshops and guides where things like where we work just on clouds, we work on just on trees. We work just on drawing, et cetera, but always everything, all the paintings that we do have a stencil attached to them, or they come with a stencil, so you can download those, or you draw with me freehand. So anyway, a lot of fun in that group, a lot of amazing people in there. I keep talking about the amazing people in the group because it is true. Okay, so if you're interested, go check that out. If you sign up through midnight through 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, it's $23 a month. No obligations. You cancel anytime. Okay, just going through here, folks, and using my flat brush to fill in my letters. So when I'm painting on the edges, I go like this. I take my brush and I turn it on its edge. The same flat brush, because I can do this, press down on the palette and make that edge really skinny. I can come in here and just right alongside the edge. Really easy. Anyway, back to my commercial. $23 a month if you join the first day that the membership doors are open. Okay, on Monday or at 11:59 at 12 midnight tomorrow night, the price goes up to $25 a month. Okay, and no obligations. You cancel anytime you want. Anyway, don't want to get too much into it until I make another announcement later. But yeah, if you guys are interested, go check out that link. Okay, but definitely the group is a lot of fun. If you're interested in learning to paint and draw, and even if you're really new at it, brand new, or just barely started in 2023, maybe make it your year where you take the step into art. Okay. All right. So just painting the edges, doing the edges on this E, coming down like this. Oh, kids, families, welcome. We do some easy stuff at the beginning of the month, and medium, and it gets a little harder towards the end. Every month is the same. Okay, but family friendly. You got some families in there, and real enjoyable, fun times. So I mentioned a little while ago that acrylic painting, is about working in layers. So I really quickly, and I don't worry too much about this step, except for that I just want to make sure that I fill in all the letters, the inside of each of the letters completely. Generally, the first layers tend to be blotchy. They tend to be uneven in color. They tend to be a little bit transparent. You can sit there working the same area over and over again trying to fix all that, but you're really not going to get anywhere. You're going to spin your wheels. What you want to do is put down your first layer of paint, and then we move on to the next step. As we've moved on to the next step, we're allowing the other parts to dry, whatever we've done to dry. So here I've filled in my word love with first layer of paint. Now, we're going to take a moment to kind of go look through some comments here and see if you have any questions or anything. Rebecca says, painting with my daughter. Welcome, ladies. Hope you're enjoying the session. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Andy says, Hebron, Indiana. Fantastic. My apartment. All right. Perfect. Hardest for me is the Gnome because there's tons of space between from V to Gnome. So you can either enlarge your Gnome a little bit, maybe make him a little wider. You can be a little taller, a little bit, or you could do a combination of both. Make your Gnome a little larger and make your V a little larger. Okay, so just kind of look at it, eyeball it. Maybe you have to also adjust the other letters a little bit to kind of compensate. Okay, but there's all sorts of different ways to get around issues like that. Okay, but yeah, one of the things you can do is any one of those or all of those. But so we filled in our letter with the first layer, and then we allow it a little time to dry. We're going to move on to other steps, and we'll come back. Okay, just want to scroll through the comments real quick. Stephanie says, for now, I drew mine on a piece of paper. I'll do canvas and painting another day. Sounds good, Stephanie. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. Okay, just scrolling through the comments real quick. All right, next step. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and paint in the balloon. We can go anywhere. We can go to the hat. We can go to the beard. We can go anywhere on our piece. I decide I'm going to go up to the balloon. And I'm just going to take some of my red and add a little to my canvas. I'll find a little spot here near the top. Now, sometimes where I'll spread out all my paints that I'm going to be using all at once, depending on the length of the session. I'll put all my paintings out at once. But just because we're drawing a lot at the beginning, they tend to dry out a little bit if I do that. So we're just putting them out one at a time. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I continue, the shoes are the same color as the letters. Maybe a little bit darker on the original, but they're almost identical. So I'm going to take my number 2 flat. I'm just going to fill in my shoes. Okay, there we go. And then this one here. Okay, there's that. Now I'm just cleaning my brush up. I forgot to mention I got paper towels. You always want to have extra paper towels handy. They're good. You use them to help clean your brushes a bit. I'm just going to clean up I'm going to start with my number 2 flat here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red like this. I'm just going to use this to outline around the edge of my heart. I want to come right up to and over my drawing lines. The reason that I'm doing that is I don't want to have to struggle to cover those lines up. Even though I'm going to have a black outline around the balloon later, sometimes you can still see your pencil lines a little tiny bit here and there along the edges. I mean, it's not a big deal, and then I could take this brush and fill the rest of it in, but I'm going to switch back real quickly to my number 7. The one I said I was going to use. Let's get right here, my number 7 flat. I'm just going to, at least I think I said it right. You don't always have to use the exact brushes that I'm using. You use the one that you're comfortable with. As you become more experienced and you're moving down along in your painting journey, you're going to find what works better for you. Okay? Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Glad you're having fun. Okay, now I'm going to take my little guy, my little detail brush. I'm just going to fill in the inside of this little triangle that I made down here. Right, the little bottom of that balloon. Now, again, like with the letters, if you look at if I give you a close-up of my balloon, it looks blotchy. But it's kind of transparent and see-through. Same with the letters. As they're drying, it becomes more apparent as they begin to dry. Okay, it's okay. We're going to come back and do a second layer over each of those, and then that clears things up. Okay, what I like to do is all related colors or all the same colors. I try to do those all at the same time. It makes drawing, makes the process a little bit more efficient. So all my reds, all my pinks, all at the same time, which is why I said, I got to go back and do those shoes. Okay, you don't have to do it that way. You can jump around. You can go to pink and then white and then red and then back to pink again and back to red again. It's all good. Whatever works for you. It's okay, Angie. No worries. Again, you just want to kind of relax through it, enjoy it. Know that as you practice more, the more you practice, your brain starts to adjust. Okay, so don't stress out. Just let things flow and let things turn out the way they're going to turn out. Okay, do your best, but in the end, it's all you can really do. I'm just going to take this little brush here and I'm going to come in here. I'll start at the top. Now I got these little hearts that I drew in. I could paint around them or I can come back and paint them in white later. It's easier if I just paint them in and then come back and paint them in later. Same with the white stripe. I don't have to do it this way. This is kind of maybe even a little bit of a lazy way to do it. But in the end, the end results are really close. If I paint my hat entirely in red and then come back in here and paint over the red and white to fill those hearts in and the stripes, they're going to be a little pink, maybe. They're going to look a little pink, perhaps, but if I layer that a couple times, that pink starts to go away where it'll look primarily in white. Everything will look white. But again, there's different approaches, different ways to make art and end up with similar results. All right. So you keep the same thing down here and paint over everything. Now I'm using this little small brush for this area down here. It would be a little easier if I used a bigger brush to fill it in, but still going by pretty fast. All right. There we go. First layer of red there. Hi, Audrey. How are you? Hello to you. All right, everybody. So, just scrolling back through those comments, trying to see if I missed anybody. I can only go back so far. And I can't go any further than that. So, Leslie, I got my glass palette. I believe I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby. I usually get most of my art supplies at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Every once in a while, when I'm able to get down there, I live in California, not too far from San Diego. I'll head down to Blick's Art Supplies in San Diego. But if I'm in the area, most of the time, they're probably 90%, with exceptions of some things that I get online through Amazon or what have you. This palette though, I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure I got this one at Hobby Lobby. Pretty good to work with, easy to clean up. If the paint dries, I can scrape it off, or I can let it sit in water. This stuff all floats off in like a big. So if I let it dry, and I let this sit in water, like in a tub of water for 5 minutes, it all starts to detach in big pieces, and I can just grab those pieces and throw them in the trash instead of letting it all run down the sink. So pretty cool. All right, where do we go next? What we're going to do now is we're going to paint in the arms, those little arms. I was about to forget. And I start to get talking too much. I am not the best multitasker. So right in here is a little arm sticking out around the side. Can't forget those. All right. Now, we're not worried about the hearts or anything like that. We'll add those at the end. Okay, so next step, we're going to go to white. Even though all this is drying, so we can't add any of the whites, the hearts or the stripes or anything up there, we are going to fill in the beard. So take a little bit of white. Hey, Jamie, no, not at all. Don't stress about the colors. If they don't look like mine, it's okay. Again, everybody's going to end up with something different. That's part of the fun. So don't stress out. If your colors look different than mine, it's okay. It's all right. Also, what happens a lot of times, even if you're working with pink, remember, I don't know if you caught what I said earlier. This was originally white, and I mixed red in here to make pink. I did this some time ago. So the pink in here isn't necessarily, it's just my own mix. So even if you were to buy this brand of pink, it's not gonna look like mine. So it's okay. And then there's all sorts of different reds out there, and even if you end up with white and white, white from Liquitex is, even if it's titanium white, it's gonna look a little different from Blick's titanium white. Might be a little different, a little bit, just enough for you might be able to pick it up. Usually not on colors like white, but it is. That's how it goes. So scooping up some white with my number 7 flat. It's gonna go like this. And I mentioned earlier that I'm gonna cover up my lines in here. White, all acrylic paint is a little translucent, especially during the first layer. So I can still see some of my lines coming through. Remember, folks, this session will be available here on the Painting with Jesse page through the end of the month. So those of you that do not get a chance to finish today or join in today, make sure you come back and get in here and do it before then. Okay, again, you'll find the recorded session at the top of the Painting with Jesse page. You just look under the Events tab. You can also look under the Live tab or the Videos tab. What I'm doing here on the mustache, and I'm actually leaving a little tiny bit of a gap between my drawing and the rest of the beard. Just want to make sure I can see that later and I keep it. Heart and hat with liner brush. 9. So it's the same type of brush, a flat, but the letters I use the bigger. I use my 1/2-inch flat for the letters, and then the hat and the heart I did with the smaller one. I did my number. This is my number 7 flat, and then I used my number 2 flat. Okay, so whatever feels comfortable in your hand. Just keep in mind that when you're painting the smaller areas, you need a smaller brush. Okay, so there's the first layer of my beard. What I'm going to do now, let's see. Penny says, I almost bought a glass. I shaped office table, but darn it, wouldn't fit, a little too big. I thought that would be perfect. Oh yeah, glass table. That would be pretty cool actually, to use that as your palette. You have quite a large palette. All right, what do we got? Okay, all right, we're caught up with the comments. I'm going to mix the color for my nose. As I mentioned earlier, actually, let me grab my brown. Just give me a second while I go off camera. So a little tiny bit of brown mixed in with pink and white gets me that skin tone. But yours could be a little more pink. You could also add a little bit of yellow. It just depends on what you're trying to do. So I've got a little brown here, a little bit of basic brown. Take this, take a little bit of the pink. Of course, pink is red and white, right? So I'm just going to do this. Proportions, about half and half, of the pink and the brown. Maybe a little more pink. Once I've got this kind of a brownish pink, I can take some of my white and raise the value. It's called raising the value, basically making it lighter. Okay, and then that looks about right. So again, it's kind of a brownish, yellow, pinkish. Nothing too exact. I'm going to switch brushes here. I'm going to go over to my number 2. Clean it up a bit. Brandy, I think so. I don't know that I'm going to be doing any more before the end of this month, but I likely will be adding a tutorial on the Painting with Jesse page at the beginning of the month or towards the beginning of the month. I'm also going to be doing a mini session on how to trace, how to get a trace onto your surface. Different ways to do it. I'll outline 2-3 different ways, maybe 4. We'll see. Ways of how to get a stencil, for example, transferred over to your. Now this little guy's nose over here is getting a little bigger. It's okay. But how to transfer an image to your surface. And I'm also just filling in the color for the lips. Again, this is going to require a couple of layers. So if I give you a close-up of what I've got, for those of you that may be newer to painting, acrylic paint tends to be a bit transparent on the first layers. That's what we got right now. And everything just kind of, there's not a whole lot of separation. The separation gets defined when you add the outlines. That makes a really big difference. Oh, and I forgot to paint the top of my hat. A little cotton ball on top. It looks like a little star. I'm going to take my little liner brush, little tiny detail brush for that, and just kind of quickly. So I'll outline first. Let me see if I can do this holding up the canvas. This is always a little tricky, but we got this. So tell me in the comments section, folks, do you guys like to draw? Do you guys like to just go right to use a stencil instead? Would you guys like to learn to draw? You know what I mean? Some people don't like drawing. It's almost like either you love it or you don't. I'm just curious. Who loves to draw? And who does not? How about that? Tell me in the comments. I need to know. Debbie says draw. Awesome, Debbie. A lot of people are intimidated by drawing. And it's usually, from what I've experienced, something that happened early on in life. You tried it when you were a kid. I love to draw, says Victoria. Fantastic. Brandy says yes. Cool. Missy says I like to learn to draw at first. Yep. Okay, good. Brandy says yes. I think I already said, Brandy said yes. Draw. Okay, good. Lots of people like to draw. Yep. Marjorie, yep, I sure do. I know that you do. Yep. Marianne says learning to draw. Good. Angie says love learning how to draw. Thanks to you. Oh, thank you, Angie. Draws, I don't have any way to do stencils. Okay. Okay, good. It almost forces you though. Brandy, it's good. It's good. What I tell people is, even if you don't like to draw, even if you don't really care to learn to draw, if you're painting, learning to draw will actually help you with your painting, because learning to draw, you start to pick up on little details, small little details that can transfer over that skill set, that ability to pick out things like proportion, dimension, ratios. It'll transfer over to painting. Good, MB, sounds good. Judy says I prefer the stencil. Okay. That's all right. 66 and learning a new hobby, says Marianne. Ooh, fantastic. I love that. Love that. Cheryl says learning to draw also. Good. Lots of people on here that are learning to draw and liking it. Good. Just curious. It's a really simple pleasure. It's just a few simple tools. You got some pencils or a pencil and something to draw on, and you can do a whole lot of really cool stuff with that. Anyway, all right, cool. Keep it coming, folks. Let me know in those comments. Do you like to draw, or do you not care for drawing? And it's okay. There's no right or wrong. Everybody's different. Some people like to paint. Some people don't like to paint. Some people like to sculpt instead of paint, or you like painting with watercolors or oil paint. All good. Different tastes. What is it? Different strokes for different folks. All right. So back to our painting. I'm going to go back now and add the second layer of paint to the letters. By now, they're all nice and dry. This will be the last layer that I do. Sometimes we need 3. And the more layers you add, the more refined your painting becomes within reason, right? But 2 is what I'll do today. Just come in here, and the second layer is going to clean it up. It's going to remove the blotchiness. It's going to even things out. And overall, make everything look nicer than without a second layer. The outline does a lot to also clean things up. But I'm just going to quickly go through here. Again, I'm using my 1/2-inch flat brush. Another question, everybody. Let me know, if you're new, are you really new to painting? Like maybe you've got a couple of paintings under your belt, or maybe this is your second painting, or it's your first painting. You've only been painting for a month, maybe for a week. Let us know in the comments. I'm curious. Again, no right or wrong. I'm happy to see new people on here learning to paint. Painting is a really therapeutic endeavor. It's really therapeutic, even if you're not necessarily looking to become this super famous artist who's selling pieces all over the place. Art is for everyone. And if you're drawn to painting, if you're drawn to drawing, if you're drawn to sculpting, even if you feel like you're not good at it, you're an artist. It's within you, right? It's you like to look at people painting. You like to look at paintings and go, oh my gosh, I want to learn to do that. Whatever stage you're in. If you're creating, you are an artist. Anyway, let us know in the comment. Jamie says, this is my 3rd with you, and I love your ideas and teachings. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much. It warms my heart. It really does. Thank you. I appreciate that. Victoria says since May. Okay. Very nice. What else do we have here? I'm trying to get back to, Catherine says, I'm trying to get back some time in my week to do creative hobbies like drawing, painting, sewing, cake decorating, etc. Thank you for the tutorials. They're very helpful and fun. My pleasure, Catherine. Thank you so much for being here. I definitely appreciate it. Well, very nice. Very nice, folks. Angie says 4th painting. Cheryl says 1st class. Oh, cool, Cheryl. All right. Fantastic. Let's see. Debbie says painting for about a year. It helps me to relax. Not everything turns out right. That's right. And you basically, it's part of the process. I say, the more you do it, the better you get. The other thing that I often tell people is experiment a lot. It's the way that I learn the most, the fastest. My learning curve, anytime I experimented, my learning curve would start doing this. If I stuck to the easy stuff and careful about everything and tried to, it's my growth actually would get hampered. It would get slowed down. It's when I experimented. And then also when you attempt hard stuff, go for the hard stuff. Just go for it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be frustrating. And you might even consider yourself having failed. But in those hard paintings, that's where you learn the most also. It pushes your boundaries and your limits. When you go from a really hard painting that you attempted, and again, even if you feel like you fail, and I always say, finish it. No matter what, finish it. Don't stop. When you go back to doing the stuff that you're used to doing, that stuff's going to become a cakewalk. All of a sudden you go, wait a minute, wow, I'm not struggling as much. It's because you tried some hard stuff. And your brain, your ability expanded. Little number 2 brush. Okay, back to that same pink. We're going to fill in the shoes. All right, folks, I'm going to pick things up a little bit now. I know some of you guys are probably going, we're going a little too slow, Jesse. So let's pick things up. All I'm doing now is adding second layers to everything. And I'm going to go ahead and do it to all of it. The balloon, the hat, the beard, the nose, and I keep hitting my tripod over here. Not trying to knock anything over. I think I better. I put the foot in the wrong spot, so I just got to be careful there. Back to my little brush right for the edges of the balloon. When I do those little hearts in the background, that's going to go by pretty fast. I'm just going to take different colors and create the hearts. So that's not going to take very long. The outlining might take a little bit, but we're going to try to start wrapping this up. Not wrapping this up like within the next 10 minutes or anything, but more like within the next 30 minutes or so, maybe 40. Don't stress out if I seem to start moving too quickly, folks. Don't. Remember, you can pause it, you can back it up. You don't have to match my pace. And if you're going faster because I'm talking a lot, that's okay too. Okay. Switching over to my 1/2 inch flat, let's see, or my number 7. Actually, my number 7. Okay, this little guy, I'm just going to scoop up the red right from the palette. Again, my paint is pretty, it's a pretty soft body, what's called a soft body paint or flowy paint. It just glides pretty easily. It's not a super high quality paint. It's a craft paint from Anita's. It's called Anita's all-purpose acrylic paint. But it does the job. Debbie, there is a replay. Oh, you can just watch the recorded session. As soon as this is done, you can even back the video up now and start it from the beginning if you're on Facebook or YouTube. I'm also on YouTube, everyone. I'm just not, unfortunately, I'm not able to watch both feeds for the comments. If anybody's on YouTube and you've commented, don't mean to ignore you. I do apologize about that. I use StreamYard as my streaming platform where it streams to both Facebook and YouTube. And unfortunately, I can't see the comments on both at the same time. There are ways to do it where you can, but it hinders the ability to control other things like you guys being able to back the video up. If I do it where I can see the comments from both, you wouldn't be able to back the video up here on Facebook or pause it, not the live one. So all my red parts just got the second coat of paint. There you go, Angie. It is absolutely therapeutic. Every creative endeavor, whether you're making furniture, whether you're sculpting, you know, what you're working with your hands, you're making wrought iron fences. I believe that they're all therapeutic. And painting and drawing is right there with all of that. You find that thing that gives you your joy and your pleasure, and you go with that. It's meditation. It is time to just sit and focus, maybe with your thoughts. Maybe it's a simple painting that you don't have to really concentrate too much on. And you're just letting your hands move as you contemplate things, or maybe you're not really thinking at all. You're just painting. You're just adding paint to a canvas or a wood board or mixed media pad, etc. But definitely therapeutic. Okay, second layer of white. Thank you, Penny. If you guys see Penny Colt, Penny's one of the members of my art group. She's jumping around answering people's questions and stuff, and just kind of that's she's a pretty awesome artist, pretty amazing little artist. So just wanted to put her out there, throw her name out there, and let you guys know who that is. In case you guys are going, oh, who's Penny? She's going around answering some of your questions and stuff. But all right, so second layer of paint. Did I get all the way down on the bottom of the beard? It feels like I could miss this little spot here where I didn't add enough paint. Just kind of quickly going to add that. So next month we'll be doing another free session here on the Painting with Jesse page. I don't know quite what we're painting yet. I have some ideas, so be on the lookout for that. And the next week, again, a little mini tutorial on how to transfer images. So, thank you, Penny. No, Angie, it just depends. So I won't be doing any more blow drying. I just blow dried. I blow dried the background, and then that was it. Sometimes you do have to blow dry stuff if you're ready to move on to the next step, but you don't have anything else to work on except what working over what's currently wet. Then you would use your blow dryer. Okay. All right, a little bit of brown. We're going to mix that skin color again. A little bit of brown, a little bit of pink. Get that nice kind of in between color. And it doesn't have to match the original color that I used over here. I can just, as long as oops, a little too much white. Okay, here we go. The lip. There we go. All right. So we're about to start on the details. We're about to get in, not the details, but the outlining. The outlining is next. The outlining is going to do a lot to bring the details out. Okay, so in just a moment, we're going to start that. We're going to start to add the outlines in black. Everything pretty much has an outline in black. Once we're done with that, we're going to go through into our hearts. There's little tiny highlights in some of the letters. I do have to add in my white hearts and the stripes. And we'll be kind of jumping around between all of that. Plenty to keep us busy for at least another 30 minutes. We're going to need a little bit of black. So I'm going to take some black and put it on my palette. I'm actually going to bring it over. Don't need much. I put out more than what we need and what I need, but a little bit of black. In this case, because I'm going to be making skinny lines, even though I've got a very flowy paint, I'm going to go ahead and use some water in my paint. Okay, I'm going to mix some water in my paint. Sue says, I love sketching. Good, Sue. Awesome. Yeah, sketching is a lot of fun. Again, lots of folks are intimidated a bit. Maybe you tried it a little bit as a kid or something, and I always hear I cannot draw a stick figure to save my life. Or the best I can do is a stick figure. But that's, I think, something that's stayed from a long time ago. From practice, you get better, and I think most people can learn. All right, so a little bit of black. Most everyone can at least improve whatever ability they start with. And there's actually tricks, little tips and things that if you incorporate, will make drawing a lot easier. All right, so just dipping my brush in my water cup a couple of times, bringing that water over here, mixing it in with the paint, and I'll do that several times. This is one of my small brushes, again, little liner brush. What this does, and now I am going to need my glasses. Let me see if they're clean enough here. What this does is it allows this long brush, you can grab a lot of paint with it. It holds a lot of paint inside. Okay, so when I go like this and I paint across, let's say I'll start over here. I can do a long line without stopping. And I'm off center. I'm over to the side. So this is a little tricky for me, but okay. Again, this little liner brush allows me to do this. Long lines. Oops, and I made that a little too thick again because I'm a little off center. But I'm going to go ahead and do this to get this is a little trick that you can use so that you're using whatever angle on your wrist you're comfortable with. So, for example, I can do all my straight lines. Okay, I can do that. Okay, and then so again, that's the beauty of these little liner brushes. These are script liners. They're called script liners. You can do letters with these and stuff like that. Now this brush is actually a little bit beat up. I haven't had a chance to recondition it. There are ways to recondition brush. Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to move along to the next letter. Now I know some people like to use Sharpies or pens and things like that with this, and absolutely, that's okay. You work with what. Sorry, I had to stop talking there. If I talk, I might shake a little, and my line will get a little bit wonky. You work with what you've got and at the skill level that you're currently at. Again, you challenge yourself a little bit, pushing yourself, but the right tools make your job a lot easier. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Now, what I'm doing, I'm working on a canvas, on a easel. I'm taking my painting hand. I have it right here at the bottom, and then I lay my painting hand on top. It stabilizes my hand a bit, so I can even put my elbow sits on the table, my fingertips sit on the canvas, on the easel, once again, sorry, and then I place my painting hand right over the top, and it allows me just to give me a little more stability. Now, these script liners or liner brushes are not the only ones you can use to make skinny lines like this. You can actually use a small flat, that like one of these little small flat brushes. These guys right here. As long as the bristles come together into a nice skinny edge, you can use that to make long skinny lines too. Okay, so there are different options. You don't have to use the same brush every single time. Let me flip this over. And then different brushes do similar things. And see this time, my hand right up on the canvas. Oops, too far. I went a little too far in that bottom part of that L. As long as it's dry here, I can put my hand anywhere on the canvas and to create a little bit of a stabilization for my other hand. Oh, I realize I'm over to the side a bit. And yes, it does help if you hold your breath a little bit, because when you're breathing, you can cause yourself to shake a bit. So there's the outline around my word. Right now I'm going to go through, same. I'm still using the same little area of paint here. Maybe I'll bring some more paint over, and then I'm going to go ahead and dip my brush in my water once again. Don't forget, folks, please send me your pictures, especially if you're painting in a group or with your family or whatever. I'd love to see those. Take a little picture of yourselves, with your finished paintings, and send them on over. And I know my sessions tend to be a little bit on the longer side, but I like to detail what I do. And I could go really quickly through everything and then have you guys just make sure you watch the recorded sessions on pause and that kind of stuff. But I still like to take time to explain the reasons why, the reasons why I paint the way I do. And that little line got a little bit too thick. Again, I'm talking at the same time, but it's okay. But yeah, sometimes these sessions may seem like, oh my gosh, these sessions are long, but I like to make sure you're understanding the processes. All right, little hat. Let's go with the nose now. mustache. Okay. Now I can still see a few of the stripes that I made. Remember earlier I made some stripes and I said I'm going to cover these up. I'll come back, paint over the top of them. I painted them up and I said I'll come back and modify them or add them later if I have to. And I can still see a few of them a little bit. So that helps a bit. There we go. Now, I could go ahead and outline the hat and then add in my stripes later and the hearts later. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I have an option here. I can do it either way. Might be easier if I add the stripes and the hearts first, but not the end of the world. Things got quiet. Just concentrating a little bit on the outlining. Okay, good. Victoria says I like it slow, so I don't have to keep rewinding. Okay, good. Good. Different styles for everyone. Everyone has a different preference. I've had some sessions. I remember when I first started the painting with Jesse, live sessions back during COVID. About my 10th or 11th, that was more than that. It was close to my 20th. It was when the page was really growing and I was starting to get large groups of people joining me. I think I had one where I had remember everybody was home during COVID. So I think I had my first session where I was somewhere at around 300, 400 people that were watching and painting at the same time, or at least watching. I don't know if they're all painting, but I had a couple of people ask me to speed it up. And one lady got really rude and was trying to get me. She was insistent that I go fast. And I said, sorry, I understand this isn't that kind of painting, so anyway, but different pace for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and do the string now. Okay, a little string for the balloon. I'm going to go hold my breath for a second, or stop talking at least for a second. I actually literally held my breath on that one. Okay, so there's that. Let me make sure that I've outlined everything so far that needs to be outlined. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do next is add in my paint, my white paint, the details on that hat. Okay, and so small, let's see, I'm going to go with my little detail brush, a little tiny one, number 0 round. I'll start with that. This little guy right here for my hearts. As long as this is all dry, shouldn't be any problem for me to add in my hearts. And again, as I mentioned, they might look a little pink at first. I'm going to start with my stripes. So let's see. The one's going to be right here. Another one right here. Okay. Heart number 1. And I can still see my drawing a little bit So this works out. And all I'm doing is this, right? I'm going through just like when I first drew them. One side and then the other. One side and then the other. And those feel a little squeezed together, so I'm just going to bring this one over a little bit. I feel like I brought those in a little too close. That's all right. Okay, other area up on top. Whoops. I'm camera. My apologies. One more up here. Okay. And there are those little details. The difference, again, this was really easy to create a really stark white background because I painted the white over the white canvas. Here it would take at least a couple layers to really get those elements nice and white and bright, if that's what we were looking for. Same thing with the beard. I can still see a little bit of that, of the original pink background peeking through a little. So just going to come in and quickly add in a second layer on some of this stuff. Hey, Kinkini, how are you? It's been a minute since I've seen you pop on here. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, definitely, you can paint with a recorded session. Remember, folks, the video will be available till the end of the month. Just go to the live tab at the top of the page and wait, what did I say? Go to the event tab or the live tab. You can also go to the videos tab. Any one of those will have this. I would suggest going to the event tab because you'll find all of the details necessary to join in. And then also, you can scroll through there. There's a bunch of other videos you can find from past sessions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add in, there's these little highlights on some of the letters. I'll give you a close-up on where'd you go? Right there. Oops, that's not it. That's it. Okay, so just to give you an example, the balloon has a highlight, little highlights on the letters. Just a few little spots, and those can be done fairly quickly. I just take my brush, dip it right into the white paint. And it doesn't have to be really stark white. It could be a little bit watered down or just a little bit on your brush. You got it, Mary. Thank you for joining in today. Please, folks, for those of you that would, please don't forget to send me pictures of your stuff. I love seeing it, but also I love sharing it with the page. So little highlights. And one thing I noticed is my letters over here are a little more angular. So these are a little more rounded. Right over here, I made them a little more angular. Wasn't really paying that much attention to that. So they ended up a little bit sharper. And then the heart, the balloon. A little highlight there. Maybe a little highlight there. Can add a bit more white to the top there. And now I can go ahead and start adding little hearts. And I'll start with white since I'm here. You guys have already seen how I made these hearts. Different sizes. Some white, some pink, some red. Just find your little spots. They don't need to be perfect. Thank you, Denise. Thank you for joining. Have a good night. Definitely sounds like a good, relaxing night for all of you in Manitoulin Island, Ontario. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly, but thank you so much for joining today. Okay. Have a good evening. Okay. There's a little. All right, so a few little white ones. Now I can just switch over to my pink or my red or whatever, or some colors in between. I can mix them all to, I can mix them to create different shades or hues. The actual word would be hues. I'm just going through and making some red ones. Now I'm using my script liner right now. This isn't necessarily the best choice. Just because I'm using this doesn't mean that you should be using it too. As a matter of fact, I'm switching. I'm going to go over to my small little detail brush, this little guy. It'll be easier to make them with this. Okay, there we go. The red one here. The smaller the brush, the more times you have to reload. Okay, now I'm just going to grab. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab some of this pink, the original for the letters, and I'm going to mix it with some red. Just kind of get in between. Something a little darker that's going to stand out just a bit more against that background. So and you make as many hearts or as few hearts as you want. Maybe your background doesn't have any hearts. Or maybe it's filled with hearts. Let me take a little step back. Let's see. I think that's plenty of hearts. Maybe you need one right there. We got it right in here. And I think that's it for my hearts. Let's take a look side by side. The only thing left really is to sign it. Now, what I like to tell people is, even though we're done with the session, right? Let's say I'm done with my painting. I don't call my painting finished until I step away, leave it alone for a few hours or even a day or two. Then I'll come back, look at it again with fresh eyes. With fresh eyes, it's a lot easier to see any discrepancies. As I mentioned previously or earlier, when you're painting, when you're sitting for a while creating, you'll develop a little bit of tunnel vision. At least I think most people do. Maybe not everyone, but you'll develop a bit of tunnel vision that impedes you from seeing things that when you come back and look at it with fresh eyes, you're like, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, that's really off. And then I could add this or that. Hopefully through the process, you've been stopping and looking at it, stopping and looking at it. So you're not going to have anything glaring, but little things that if you refine them, make a big impact. That's what you're looking for. So I wouldn't call this done until I come back and look at it at a later time. And again, it could be a few hours, maybe later this afternoon or this evening, but usually it's about a day. I'll come back and go, okay, this is what I need to fix. Or I might go, there's usually something, one or two little things, but and then I'll fix them and then I call it done. Okay, so just a little tip on my process, but that's how it works. Okay, so just another 5 minutes or so. I just want to say bye to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you didn't get a chance to finish, don't worry. If you're a little behind, what have you, again, you can continue working with this session right now. You can also come back and work with a recorded version of all of this. You'll find it under the live tab at the top of the Painting with Jesse page. It's also under the event tab. Probably the best place to look for it is there. It's also under the videos tab. There's a bunch of videos that you'll find this on the top of the Painting with Jesse page. I'm sure by now you've seen it. The ticker tape at the bottom, I also mentioned it a couple of times. My art group doors open tonight at midnight after, it's been about 15 months, not quite, 12 or so months, more than that, a little more than a year since the last time the doors opened. Okay, we have an amazing group of people there. It doesn't matter what your level is, from beginner to even more advanced. We have a place for you in there. It's a membership where you pick your journey, you kind of pick your level of art that you want to participate in. There's lots of stuff that happens there every month. But mainly we have an awesome group of supportive, friendly people that I think any new members that come in will have an enjoyable time with. So if you guys are interested in that, please click on the link at the bottom of the description of this video at the very bottom. It'll have a link to the website. It talks about it, shows you the gallery of like over 85 paintings that are in there, past recorded sessions. Every month we have on average 6 events that happen. 4 of them painting, technique class, drawing class, and then sometimes bonus sessions that happen in there. And you don't have to do it all. You pick and choose. But anyway, if you get a chance to check that out, doors open tonight. But everybody, thank you. Anna, thank you so much. Corey, thank you. Let's see, just going to run up the list real quickly. Ariel says, I actually like mine at the end for the first time. Thank you, Ariel. Yeah, great teachers teach great students. Yes. Yeah, you're always awesome, Ariel. So I'm sure your painting looks fine. You're just a little overly critical, but it's okay. We all are a little bit. So just remember, everybody relax. Don't forget to send me pictures of your stuff. Angie, thank you. Kimberly, thank you. Good. Happy you enjoyed it. Let's see. Marianne, I think I already said goodbye to you, but thank you for joining in today. And then everybody else, I appreciate you so much. And stay tuned for the next sessions. Keep your eyes peeled. If you're on the Painting with Jesse list, I'll be sending you information there as soon as I have details to that stuff. But Jamie, thank you. All right, everybody, have a good evening or good morning if you're that far ahead in the time zones. Okay? Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.